My name's Leo and I'm the founder of Chapter 2. We're an agency that specialises in supporting and building in-house teams using marketing methodology and social media to attract and build talent pools, to attract people to work for the business. Now, I'm not an HR person and I've never worked in HR. I'm a marketer and I've worked in the advertising industry for the last 15 to 20 years. And today what I wanted to do really was share my journey with you and some of the skills that I've picked up over the years. And in the hope that you will be convinced as I am that a lot of the marketing methodology that I've used to attract consumers to buy from brands can be very easily transitioned to attract candidates and to further embed your employer branding. You see, I'm on a mission to really bring a marketing mindset to employer branding. So taking you back a bit, 15 years ago, Oliver was founded, and back then, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, they didn't even exist, which makes me feel really, really old. We started the business with 4 people, and we scaled it to 2,000 people in 28 countries in the last decade. And during that time, we appeared in the Fast Track 100, the International Top Track 200, and we won a number of really creative awards. We were seen as a real disruptor in the advertising space. But I had a huge issue. As the global COO of this international marketing agency, one of my biggest problems was our ability to attract talent in the locations we were growing and our employer brand. I'll be really honest with you. I was opening companies in countries and locations that I couldn't point to on a map. And between 2014 and 2019, our vacancy list was never below 100. So what was our first solution? Well, use recruitment companies. It's quick, it's easy, it works, but it's really expensive. I mean, we were spending something like £500,000 a month on recruitment. And what astonished me with using a recruitment company exclusively is that it didn't support and embed the employer branding into our ecosystem. It was just like, these guys are the sales guys, they are dealing with our role. We had the employer branding sitting here, they weren't together. And we were basically throwing money at the issue. So our second solution was to build our own in-house talent team, which worked. You know, it reduced our cost of talent acquisition and it helped with the employer branding. But very quickly that team became full to capacity and we went back to using recruitment companies as well as having our own in-house team. So from a cost-based point of view, it was really even more expensive. So at this point, I decided it was time for a rethink and it was time to find another way of doing this. And by this time, you know, the platforms of social media were in full flow. And we decided that we would trial and use our skills that we'd honed in as advertisers, attracting consumers to buy products from brands, to attract talent to come work for our business and to share how great our place is to work when we're opening up in places like the Netherlands and Brazil and Jakarta and places. So Chapter 2 was born, an agency that exists purely to reduce the cost of talent acquisition using marketing methodology to build talent pools. You see, I've got a belief that employer branding, if employer branding takes a publisher mindset, you can draw out all of the stories and all of the amazing things that you do day-to-day in your business and amplify them through content and social media to draw people into work for you. I guarantee that you're doing all of the amazing things today, that you're just not amplifying that. Now, I've got a belief, if you're taking a product to market through a marketing strategy, you've got a brand and you've got a product. You use content and you build content, you create content to lure people in to like your product and understand your product and then ultimately buy your product. Well, I don't think that's any different if you're talking about employer branding. You have a brand, you have a product, and it's this amazing role that you've got. Why would you just give it to a recruitment agency to pick up the phone and dial? Instead, start talking about how amazing your workplace is to be and create that window to the outside that other people can see and look in and come and attract and buy from your business and come and work for you. Take this as an example. A few weeks ago, I purchased myself one of those Garmin smartwatches and I love it. It's brilliant. It monitors my fitness, my calories, my steps, my sleep, my heart rate. And I highly recommend it if you're looking for a smartwatch. But what's interesting about this is I wasn't even looking for a smartwatch. I already had a perfectly good Fitbit and it gave me everything I needed. However, over a period of time, Garmin started to serve me up with some really interesting content about their new watches that they brought out. The more content they served up, the more interested I became, the more I clicked certain links, the more I came into their world, and through their talent funnel, the sales funnel, I call it a talent funnel, the sales funnel, and landed me into their website. And when I went into their website, effectively the career site, I saw engaging videos about Ant Middleton, who inspires me using the watch. I saw people that were very similar to me interested in their fitness. So I did more and more research into these watches and found out that actually I didn't have the best watch in the market. And I really like these Garmin. So what I do, I went and bought the Garmin watch, didn't I? So what's interesting about this is I went from a completely passive place to acquiring and buying within a matter of weeks because of advertising. And I don't see employer branding and talent acquisition as any different. And as I said, the employer brand is a virtual window into the lobby of what it's like to work at your business. It's a place where people can picture themselves living and working and making friends and spending years of their life. It's a major purchase, if you like. It's something that they have to understand a lot about before they take that leap. And content is a fantastic way to warm them up into that. It also purely embeds the employer branding when you're serving up this content as well. Now, I couldn't obviously present today without talking about COVID-19 and the impact on employer branding. One of the things that I've been talking to a lot of people about more recently is the impact of COVID-19 on employer branding. And I've heard people say that there's no need to do employer branding because there's going to be such a surplus of talent hitting the market, we not need to do it, which I think is absolute rubbish. Do you think that Netflix, when their subscribers tripled in size, they decided they didn't want to do any more branding? Do you think when Apple hit $1 trillion as market cap value, they thought we don't need to worry about employer branding? You do need to worry about your employer branding because you want to attract and lure in the right talent for your business. You will have budget constraints because COVID-19 is having a huge impact on our economy, but it just means that you have to do things slicker, faster, less expensive, which is why I think this needs to happen. I think that marketing people and people strategy people can learn so much from each other. I believe like bringing these two closer together, you can significantly reduce the cost of talent acquisition and improve your employer branding at the same time. You see, I could give you all of the hints and tips about hacks on LinkedIn, hacks on Instagram, and how to media buy, how to create content. But there will be people that work within close proximity to you or work within your departments, the marketing team, that will know all this stuff already. They have the channels to market, they have the media budgets and the buying power with the media teams as well. So the first thing I would do, instead of talking to people like me, frankly, speak to your marketing teams first, because these guys have got a great depth of knowledge when it comes to creating content, because the common theme between both of you is that you're marketing to human beings and you're trying to get them to buy something. Now, I've got some data to back this up if you don't believe me or need more convincing. One of my favorites is that the brain processes video 60,000 times faster than copy. Now, just think about that when it comes to maybe your job descriptions. Okay, you can create the most engaging piece of content, lure someone into a career site, bring them into your ATS in a really smooth way and do a great job of that. And I've seen this happen before in many large organizations, and you get somebody to commit and apply for a job and suddenly the description just hits you like a brick wall of text. And immediately I get disengaged because I'm a person that consumes video so much better than copy. Now, there will be other people, different strokes for different folks, but majority of the people will prefer to look at a video. And think about how quickly you can land a message using a piece of film or motion graphics or animation to tell someone about the job role. 72% of candidates will research your company on social before even applying for a role. Now, what that means is there's 72% of potential candidates that are coming around your business, they're landing into your career site, they're having a look around your social, they're having a look at what it's like to work in your business, and they're leaving. And they're not dropping their details and not applying for a job. And if you're not pixeling, and if you'd like some more information on pixeling, please come to my stand or drop me a message. If you're not pixeling these individuals and creating the ability to retarget them when they go into their LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, then you're missing a large chunk of potential great candidates. And finally, HR leaders, you guys, say that employer branding has a significant impact on their ability to attract talent. So that's you guys telling me that. So that's definitely a fact. So I've talked a lot about how marketing and social platforms can help to attract talent, and I'll back this up with some data. I want to talk about the platforms themselves now and making sure that, you know, we use the right tools for the job. And before I do, I want to show you a very short film on how big and how fast this world really is. And just remember, this data that you're going to see is from 2019, before COVID-19 came through. So the numbers you're going to see are exponentially increased today, making this even more relevant. So what I'm trying to land by that message is that so much happens in an internet minute that you've got to be really authentic and really engaging to cut through. See, that scrolling thumb is absolutely relentless. And today, because we get served up with so much stuff, our brain is consuming so much content every single day. You've got to work really hard to punch through that sort of spam filter that everybody's got in their brain. But also on the same side, don't worry about making a mistake. I've seen many, many instances where people have really been concerned about making a slight error on a post and been a complete perfectionist. In reality, it doesn't matter because it's forgotten within minutes. So I want you guys to picture these platforms as distribution tools rather than, you know, social media content engines, effectively. These tools are pathways and portals to get access to people. So think about what you put in, make sure it's good. It doesn't have to cost thousands. I've seen examples whereby employee engagement teams have done takeover videos for teams in local regions to do a day in the life of for one of their employees. That level of content is so much more engaging because there's nobody better to sell your business and your brand than the people that work for you and love working for you. You can't buy that media. So when you're thinking about what kind of content that you want to put out there, it doesn't have to be the drone shot videos or expensive film things. It can be something as humble as getting your guys to do a nice short film. And I've seen some great examples today. So I wanted to give you just three, because, you know, we're short on time, three of my go-to platforms. And there's no surprise that with 600 million profiles on LinkedIn, that it's one of the main portals, if you like, for social platforms when it comes to B2B or looking to attract talent. What you might not know is that LinkedIn has some very generous algorithms that allow you to significantly extend your marketing reach. So as an example, if I post about today's event and one of you guys likes it, that post that I've created will then be distributed to your network, thus amplifying my post even further. So think about that when it comes to distributing content about your D&I or distributing your available roles that you might have, or distributing some great piece of work you've done on the environment. If your other colleagues, senior leadership teams are liking it and sharing it, you're amplifying that message, thus organically growing that content exponentially. Another thing that you might not be aware of is that in my view, personal profiles are so much more powerful on LinkedIn than company profiles. There's absolutely a place for company profiles, but I see them as more of a LinkedIn homepage than anything else. People are more engaged with people. We're curious animals. We want to know what people are doing, what people are saying, people's point of view. And when you do it from a company profile, it's almost behind a mask. So I would be, again, asking your senior management team, inspirational people in your business, to get on board, start posting, start liking the content that you guys are producing. And finally, on LinkedIn, if you're going to use paid ads for LinkedIn, make sure you've looked at the end-to-end process. I've seen examples in global brands whereby they've created this amazing career site for a graduate scheme that's cost them tens of thousands of pounds. And they've created a LinkedIn campaign that's paid advertising that costs money every time somebody clicks it. And when they clicked it, instead of taking you through to that site, it takes you through to another site that they had in another career site. They didn't look at where the thing was going before they launched it. And all of a sudden, this website is hidden from everybody. And a saying that I've gone by all my career is, if you want to hide something, the best place to hide it is on the internet, because your creative can be there, but if your distribution is not as good, no one's going to see it. Instagram. You've all heard the saying, a picture can tell 1,000 words. Well, Instagram is an amazing platform to project the culture of your business to potential candidates, but also to the internal people in your business. It's a really great way of sharing events and awards and just great stuff that happens. And it's where a lot of the younger demographic hang out as well. So if you're looking to attract a younger demographic, you might want to think about Instagram as well. And finally, podcasts. With over 7.1 million people listening to podcasts in the UK, which is, just short of the size of London, podcasts can create a really loyal following. Think of it as like your own radio station. I would keep them to like 30 to 40 minutes long and invite guests on them that people are going to want to hear from in your industry or in your business. Maybe it's the senior management team. Maybe it's the graduates that have come through. Podcasts can be a great portal for people to, again, have that window to look into your business and see what it's like to work there. And be inspiring, put inspirational people on there. A great example is there's a social media agency called Social Chain. The CEO and founder, a guy called Stephen Bartlett, he has got his own podcast called The Secret Diet of a CEO. It's a huge podcast. I highly recommend you guys listen to it. And because he's got such a following and people follow his podcast, the talent team, employer branding team, have such a magnet to talent that it's untrue. So they don't have to work that hard to bring this great talent in. So the size of social media and these platforms is huge, and it's only getting bigger with platforms like TikTok becoming more of a relevant product as the demographics go up. It's not just a kid's toy anymore. It's something that people use for their businesses. But with 2 billion people using Facebook every month and 300 million people using Twitter, you're going to be tough to argue with me that social media and content are not the tools to be used when it comes to really amplifying your employer brand and reaching out to people in the industry. And another way of amplifying your employer brand and your content is to use your own employees. Again, like I said, you cannot get better media buy or better endorsement than your own employees telling you this is a great place to be. And when I was at Oliver and we had to open in markets that I couldn't point to on a map, we had no brand, let alone an employer brand, to attract staff to work for us. We were starting from a blank canvas. So what we did was we used our people and created superfans and brand ambassadors. And this all immediately, because we were hiring local talent, it brought with them their own network, and their network brought their network, and their network brought their network. And all of a sudden we created this audience of people in markets very, very quickly. And we're able to scale up in teams within weeks without any cost of recruitment. So that's a lot to take on board from the point of view of content and social and all that sort of stuff. But I also want to talk a bit about career sites. And I'd like you to consider career sites as just one pillar to the whole employer branding. I know you do, but career sites is just one part of this, but it's a very important part. And I see this as the shop window, and your first impression, you've got 6 seconds. So do you want it to look like a closing day on sale with stock images and unengaging content that's just barely a website? Or do you want it to look like something that's really engaging and really inspirational, that people are going to look at that and go, wow, this is an amazing place to work. I really get these guys. Some career sites I really like that I thought I'd take you through. Spotify do this really, really well. Spotify have got this amazing career site where you log yourself in, where you go onto their site, and immediately it says join the band. So even from the creative to the copy is really right. Now, copy is an underrated tool in my view when it comes to employer branding. It's a tool that's used massively when it comes to consumer marketing, but I haven't seen the clever use of copy used hugely in the employer branding space, and I'd encourage it to be used a lot more. Spotify do this really, really well. As soon as you land in it, join the band. And then as you scroll down their career page, you've got a statement from the CEO, an inspirational piece talking about, you know, what he wants, how he wants to see people grow in this business. This is an inspirational piece. You want to say, I want to work for this guy. And then as you scroll on further down, they've created personas for all of the roles that they have available. And very quickly, it says how many roles and positions are available for hiring, which tells me is a potential for someone who wants to go and hire. If there's no positions for the brand creative, as an example, I'm not going to waste my time. It's very quickly made that decision for me. It hasn't wasted my time. If I was to go into brand creative, then look through all the roles and can't find a brand creative, it's going to really annoy me. As an anchor, I can see there's 6 positions available. Great, I want to apply for one of those roles. Another great one, full of energy, is Red Bull. Again, they use their copy to ooze their energy and their brand. Discover your strengths. Your journey starts here. Chase your potential. It oozes the Red Bull brand. And these images that you see here are actually full-blown videos, high energy. And finally, Rapha, a cycling brand, which you may or may not know. You land into their career site, and the main strapline is work at Rapha. And it tells you what they're about. Rapha's vision is to make cycling the most popular sport in the world. And that's sent to put shivers up your spine and excite you and inspire you to want to come work with them, to be part of something. You scroll down the page a little bit further, there's a really engaging video of people using the products they love so much, because you want to be part of this team. And then you keep looking, and then they've got images of what it's like to actually work in Rapha. So you are opened up to this world that is Rapha to see, is this a place that I could live? Is this a place that I would actually quit my job that's paying my family's mortgage and come and join these guys? Can I see myself living here? That's what the employer branding strategy is there to do. So at chapter 2, that's exactly what we're about. We've got a 3-pillar process whereby what we did, we come in and we do a very quick and simple audit to understand exactly what your content looks like today, how engaging your content is. We use our marketing methodology to understand how engaging your website is, how many people are coming in, how many people are dropping off, where they're dropping off, how engaging is your film. And then what we would do is we put together a strategy for you that says, this is where we need to make improvements to your career site, if needed. This is a content calendar and content strategy that will then attract the right talent you're looking for. Because if you're looking for a more diverse workforce, you might have a very different content strategy to looking at creating a graduate scheme. And we would understand that, and we build those content strategies for those targets. And then as we build the funnel of the talent that comes into your world, we support with an in-house talent advisory team that will qualify the candidates, sell the benefits, and bring the candidates through a really positive journey into the shortlist that your guys will see. So I hope that's given you a really good whistle-stop tour to my view of employer branding and a bit of an introduction to chapter 2.